Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're gonna do life together. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening. I am your friend, Dr. Tongie, but because we are using the word friend, I need you to call me Tongie. And welcome to another edition of Talk to Tongie. And I am so excited. Can you tell how excited I am? I'm excited because I get to come in your living room and maybe your bedroom and hang out with you for a minute to encourage you, to inspire you, to motivate you, to celebrate you. That's what the show is all about. And I want you to stay engaged with me, please. So I've got a couple of numbers that I want to give you. 451-9788 is the number that you can reach us in studio. And if you want to talk to me on WhatsApp, it's 470-534-2216. And yeah, let's stay engaged, okay? Because you guys were... Can I just say thank you? I know, I'm just all over the place, but I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you because you did something that you really did not have to do. You engaged, you encouraged, you supported, and that's what the show's about. So it's a quid pro quo kind of thing. Last week, we were talking to a phenomenal woman, and I say phenomenal in every sense of the word because she's a trailblazer. She is. She's one who's kind of gone before us, and she's made everything smooth for me, so I get to walk in her shoes. She's none other than Lissa Joseph. And she is going to be with us tonight, and we're going to finish up our conversation on cancer and what that looks like, and the spiritual and the emotional part of being diagnosed, and where do you go from there. But before she comes on with us, I kind of want to let you in, since we are operating in the spirit of transparency. I want to tell you about my story. Imagine, if you will, I'm 22 years old, right? And everything is going well. I've got a really good job. I've got 3 loving babies, and I'm married. And my mom calls up and she says, well, I'm from Mississippi, so we use words like pootie to explain how much we love a person. So she calls me up and she says, Pootie, I've been thinking, and I want you to go to the doctor. And I'm thinking to this woman, I said to her, listen, we just bought a house. We just got a car with the kids, and then I can't afford to go to the doctor. And she says, well, I just had this feeling, and I just want you to go. Lo and behold, I go and I'm talking with my OBGYN, and it's something about a physician who has really good bedside manners. Dr. Holzhauser in Columbus, Mississippi was one of the best. He's stellar at just kind of touching and feeling, but he wasn't doing the exam down there. He was doing it up here and found some nodules. And you're 22 years old and someone is telling you that they found nodules in your body, and you're thinking, okay, the first thing you're thinking, oh God, it's cancer. But here's my thing, and I don't know if I shared this with you. I was really one of those women, those mothers that I believed in taking the children to Bible study on Wednesday night, and we have Bible study in our home, and I thought that, I was kind of God's, the apple of his eye. I call him daddy. We've got a relationship. Surely he won't let something like cancer come to me with 3 babies. And lo and behold, I go to an oncologist, didn't know what that was at the time, and he says to me, let's go with a battery of tests first. So they do the iodine test, the T3, T4 test, just to see what's going on with my thyroid. So, ladies, and men, if you are finding yourselves with symptoms or signs of dry, ashy skin, or your hair is brittle and it breaks off easily, or you're irritable, I thought I was just losing weight because Dexatrim was the thing then. But lo and behold, it wasn't anything that the Dexatrim was doing. It was cancer. And I'm 22 years old, and I've got these 3 babies that are under 6 years old, under 6 years old. And I'm thinking this cannot be, because God loves me, and I sing to him in the shower, and I teach my children his precepts and his laws and his ways. And sure enough, talk about a test of your faith. I got angry, and I have to be open, honest, and sincere. I was mad. How could you let me go through this, Dad? I thought I was doing everything right. But what I've learned as you grow with him, you learn that God doesn't do things to hurt you. He tests your faith. And that was a testing of my faith. All throughout going through the diagnoses and all the tests that I had to undergo. And, I felt like Lissa when she said she just didn't want to worry anybody. I didn't want to bother anyone. I kept thinking, this is just my cross to bear. I'll just go through this. But little did I know in that, because I was such a young mama. If I told you that I had a 36-year-old daughter soon, you'd probably think, yeah, you were young. My baby is 30, will be 36 next week, 34, and then my youngest son is 31 years old. So they were little bitty people, and they were going through this thing with me. And I remember getting really perplexed. I remember having symptoms and going through depression. And it is one of those things, and I know now that is my testimony. At one time I was afraid to even tell anyone that I had gone through cancer, because I didn't want to share that. But now I understand that was a part of my story. No, it wasn't comfortable, but in that I learned how to trust. I learned how to be quiet. I learned that it's okay if you're having a moment of despair, because what he'll do is he'll never leave you and forsake you. And I know this now. So now I got a battle scar under these pearls. And I will tell anyone who'll listen that he really is a healer. Not a healer, he is healer, sorry. That is who he is. So my testimony now is he can do absolutely anything but fail. And I remember one of my prayers to him was, when you, not if, but when you heal me of this, I'll tell it. I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Little did I know that I was going to be winding up here in this amazing country of St. Lucia. I don't want to give too much of how I got here, but I will say this. If you are going through something right now and your faith is being tested, would you trust him? And you're saying to me, but you don't understand. I've got this going and I've got that going, and it looks like I understand. I really, really do. Because I look over my life and I'm amazed at how he does a thing. And when he does it really well. So That's my story, my cancer story. He is healer. And for anyone who need to believe that, I'm here to tell you that he will do it. You heard Lissa's story last week, and we're going to pick up with how do you go from, okay, I've been diagnosed with this, my mental faculties are all over the place, I'm spiritually bankrupt, and emotionally I don't know what I'm going to do. So I need you to stay tuned, if you will, please. We'll be right back with my guest. Stay tuned. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Tongie. And whenever I get ready for a show, I use a Toy Day food. A Toy Day food is a proud sponsor of the Dr. Tongie Show and Dr. Tongie. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. We're back. Thank you again for being here. I am Tongie. You are watching Talk to Tongie, and I am so excited to go into this part 2 with this amazing woman. All month I've been saying Happy International Women's Day for everyone who ever dreamed and ever said, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put this plan down, and I'm just going to do it. Thank you. Thank you so very much for believing in who you are. Thank you for believing in your abilities and your capabilities. And this woman that's here, she's one of those that believes too. I was so moved by her story last week that I'm getting chill bumps already now, because when I tell you that she's phenomenal, you already know it. You guys were so beautiful. You were so amazing to call right in and tell us, you know, what you were thinking. And I'm very grateful that the love and support was there. So thank you very much. Without further ado, my new bestie, Lissa Joseph. Thank you so very much.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to be with you again, and I think, you know, the hair, we complement each other pretty well.
Oh my God, isn't she gorgeous?
The big hair, we have that going for us.
Yeah, we do, And the beautiful smile, how about that?
Yes, that's good
Oh
enough.
my God. You know, again, coming into your presence, hearing your story, it resonated so loud in my ears, Lissa. I've got to get into those 3 things that we go through as women or as people who have been diagnosed with cancer. Your mental effect. Spiritually, how do you move if you're spiritually bankrupt? And emotionally, how do you just not be all over the place? So let's start with the easy one first, yeah? When you hear, this is what I've been diagnosed with. They're telling me that I've got cancer. I don't know if it's a malignancy. I don't know if it's benign, the bad one or the good one. I don't know if it's began to spread. How do you take control of those mental what ifs? How do you do that?
You say it's an easy one. It really isn't. You know, most people would know their bodies. And if you're in tune with yourself, you would know that there's something definitely going wrong.
For sure.
And by the time the diagnosis would come to you, I can tell you, and I'm sure, Doc, you experience that. It's like everything stops in that moment. Everything stops, and you are wondering if your hearing, is okay. Is this what I just heard? And then many things begin to happen. You begin to process so many things. And at least in my experience, the last thing I really thought of was, am I going to die? That was the last thing on my mind.
Really?
It was really about, how am I going to get through this?
Gotcha.
Can I really get through this?
Gotcha.
Because death is going to come to all of us.
For sure.
We do not know when, but it is never a pleasant experience knowing that it is coming in a particular moment. Yeah, so for some people, hearing that cancer diagnosis is equivalent to them hearing that, hey, you are going to die next month, you're going to die in the next 2 years. And once you walk out of that doctor's office, you don't really want to be around anyone.
You don't.
You don't necessarily want to share that news. You do not want to process what that really means. There is an absolute need for you to retreat into yourself, and you need to sit with that information. Now, cancer is a complex thing, Doc, and you know that. For sure. Two individuals can be diagnosed with the same form of cancer, and their bodies are going to the disease is going to progress differently and so forth. So you need to first say, I need to arm myself with the information. How do I understand what is really happening with me? And then you need to, again, from my experience, you need to get into that spiritual realm and call for that understanding, the ability for you to be able to understand and see everything before you. Because no matter what, there'll be many opinions. You may hear opinions from 10 doctors, and they may all say the same thing, but giving you different paths in getting the same thing done. Right. And so you quickly have to develop the ability to think for yourself, even as you are helpless in something that you know absolutely nothing about. Only divine understanding can really help guide you through what it is that you want to do.
I'm glad you said that, and not to cut you off, but I am with people all of the time, whether we are doing spiritual life coaching or business coaching or whatever it is in that realm. When you are staunchly saying, for God I live, for God I die, blessed be the name of the Lord, and you do not want to adhere to what physicians are saying, those that really kind of know exactly, this is what we're going to do, this is going to be the mode of operandi that we're going to follow. How do you move from, yes, I believe God, but I know what I know, and I'm not doing the radiation therapy. I'm not doing the chemotherapy because God is going to heal me. I believe. What's the process in moving from, yes, I've got to understand, to, I don't want to do it because he's going to heal me this way?
For me, it's a question of knowing that, yes, spiritually, this is what we rely on. But we're in the physical.
Yeah, we are.
We are physical matter. And God bestowed us with the wisdom, and people go out and they study things and so forth. And so if in our ordinary times when we want to talk about how we have had divine intervention, you know, perhaps sometimes you going down the road and you have absolutely no money, and then this individual somehow just stops you and says, hey, yeah, so God has given that individual, yes, the wisdom to know that they need to approach you. I think of it in that same way. While the two while the two things are indeed, yes, different, because you're dealing with your faith and then there's that medical, the two must work hand in hand. When God is asking you to, yes, have faith, and then we talk about doing our bit, this is our bit. We ask Him for things, but we must physically get up and begin the process of getting things in train for Him to be able to take the wheel for you. So it's not a question of saying I am simply going to rely on faith and ignore the what the medicine says or what the doctors are saying, nor is it a question of I'm simply going to do whatever the doctors say and forget about what God is saying.
Absolutely.
The two must always meet, and I'm telling you, whether you want to accept it or not, because you in that moment you know you are dealing with something that is bigger than you.
Oh gosh.
The cancer is bigger than you. So whom can you really turn to? Yes, the doctors are there, but at the end of the day, they are human, they're man. Medicine within itself has its constraints. What you need is a powerful being that would be able to direct all the things that need to come together to help you. Now, I could hear maybe someone saying, but why do people still die?
I know.
Why do people still die?
I know.
That is something that even as a survivor, and I'm sure, Doc, probably you have that experience.
Absolutely.
Even during my days of treatment, there were people who were on treatment together with me and they died. And I can't explain why that happens, but we all have a time.
Yes.
We all have a time. And most importantly for me, I do not focus on dying. Because it's really about living. And last week we spoke about living intentionally.
Yeah, we did.
Right? So we can ask, and a question related to that is, how could this happen to me? But why not me? Why should it be someone else? Why not me?
You know, that speaks volumes. It really, really does. It goes into that, I like to call it the emotion quotient of living. How do you emotionally live knowing that this is happening, but emotionally you still have to get up and you still have deadlines and you still have people that are depending on you and you still gotta live, but you don't want to be
That's
around.
the warrior spirit. That's the warrior spirit.
Okay.
Again, remember that God is there. He is there with you.
Yeah.
But you have to physically get up and do the work as well. And earlier you spoke about the test of your faith. This really is a test of your faith, and it is your testimony. And for me, in answering the question of why me, Lord, because that's always asked. How could this happen to me? So it goes further, and I think of it in this context as well. In order for me to be with you this evening, and being able to stand in my truth, to stand in, quite honestly with my story,
for sure,
I had to have gone through that in order to have been able to be here to give that testimony. Because everything that I am before you now came out of that struggle, out of that pain, out of that despair. It came out of that.
Absolutely.
So at the end of the day, you have to think of it in that context. It is part of the fire you had to go through in order for you to have a rebirth.
You are speaking volumes here, woman.
In order to have that rebirth. So these things are important, Doc, for us to be able to and to accept it.
Absolutely. Acceptance. You said that's a mouthful. 451-9788. We want to hear your story. We love taking calls. I want to ask you about work, because for me, Lissa, I didn't want to go back to work. I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't know how. I didn't have anyone to say, okay, these are the steps that you take. I remember fasting and praying and saying, you healed me for such a time as this. What do I do now with this healing? And I know, he said, nanny, and I mentioned that to you last week. I've got a nanny service and a home health agency in Atlanta, Georgia, that our daughter runs. And I knew that my going back to a 9-to-5 for me, it was worse than cancer. And I'm not being facetious when I say that. It was the hardest thing in my life to have gone through. And you mean to tell me now I've got to go back and listen to people complain where I've got this new leash on life and I want to live? So I remember, we're juxtaposing to work, but I remember this woman saying to me after the bank laughed at me and said it was a wonderful idea, but it's not going to go anywhere. And I felt crushed, but I kept thinking, but greater is he, greater is he. I had to remind myself who I was. And my thing was, if I write it down and if I rehearse it, I can do it. It's something about writing things down. Maybe that's why I wrote a book. But if you write it down and you give it to him and you trust the process, you got to become the work. I used to tell my daughter, you got to work, but now I understand you have to become the work so that the work can be done. For me, I didn't want to go back to work. How soon after having gone through what you've gone through, how soon did you find yourself saying, I've got to go back to work now?
Oh, immediately.
Oh, wow.
Because, as a journalist,
yes,
you have this certain itch. Can't stay away from it. Most journalists don't do vacations. We can't do that. We have to be connected. You're checking everything. Yeah. And at that time, remember COVID had just come through.
Okay.
And my duties at that time with the National Television Network, GIS, was really to be giving up all of those updates to the nation and being part of that dissemination process for information.
Okay.
And I could not be home. So after my first surgery, I was back weeks before the doctors had said.
Come on.
And I remember leaving home and my mother was she's like, you can't go back. And
I'm like your mother.
Yeah, but the thing is that for me, if I had to be home and be in bed, my fighting spirit would die.
Wow.
Because and looking back now, I realize that it was really because I did not want to surrender to what was happening to me. I knew it was happening, but I did not want to give in to it, because staying home really meant that I am accepting what this fate is. I needed to get back to my normal routine in order to A, distract me, and B, to give me a reason for being awake, for being alive. I needed to find that life back. And so I would go, and of course, minimal movement, but I can still talk.
For sure.
Talking, you make that happen.
Oh, absolutely.
But in doing that, I found renewed purpose. And you said something, Doc, a while ago, that once you pass the treatment and you feel you are alive. Yeah. You are alive. And you want to live every moment of that. I also found that I found myself doing a lot of shopping.
Really?
A lot of shopping, again, as part of that compensating or taking away from the reality. So I just wanted to attach myself to new things and new things and new things.
That makes sense.
Until I had to say, well, what is happening to me? What is happening?
Yeah.
So in my quiet moments, I understood that I was beginning to settle into that form of depression, there is a sadness that washes over you.
It is.
And that sadness is really driven by loneliness. Now, when you are sick, that's the time you have most family, friends and around you. But you're feeling lonely because you are actually going through it alone. While your caregivers are with you and your family members are loving you, but it is you. It is you with the pain. It is you going under the knife. It is you having to sit in that chemotherapy chair. It is you going through that physically. And so there is that sense of loneliness that you go through. And then burst of anger will come.
So you, if we were looking at it psychologically, you went through all 5 stages as if it was grief. Yeah? You would say that?
And it is. And it is grief. And because that person you knew before, that individual is gone.
Absolutely.
That individual is gone, especially if you have those side effects of losing your hair. I mean, I woke up and all my hair was gone. I thank God for wigs, but all my hair was gone. I didn't have any eyebrows.
Oh, come on.
My eyelashes. So I just went to bed and I woke up and I looked in the mirror and I was like, what is this alien standing? What is happening? So, and you have so much to deal with, and let's not talk about the pain coming from, you know, that chemotherapy treatments. There is so much that you're dealing with in that moment, and no one can really understand it because it is you going through it alone. They're suffering with you because they've seen their loved one going through something that they can't help. Yes, but all of that is being borne by you, and even the suffering that your family members are going through, you tend to think, well, my God, my parents, my loved ones, they're sad because of me. So that again, it's just a whole lot. But Doc, before I say that, I want to remind our viewers that you can call in with a question. We would be happy to be able to chit chat with you, and you can do so at 451-9788. That's the telephone line. And of course, there's a WhatsApp number. Let's share that with them.
It is 470-534-2216, and we welcome your calls and your WhatsApping while they're getting ready to engage with us. Thank you so very, very much for that. I want to ask you this. The unlearning. You said it's a newness now, right? What did you unlearn that you had been walking in before? Loaded question. These are deep questions, and it's very, you have to. I'm revealing so much of myself, but that's okay because that's how we really help others by being honest and sharing our story. I learned how to speak up for myself. Just imagine that me, someone who talks for a living, right? But, and this is true sometimes as women, we tend to perhaps just shrink away from, trying to stir up the pot for one reason or another, whether it be at work, in your love life, with family members. You just let things slide. And especially, if you have that role as a leader, yes, you really shoulder a lot of stuff. But I learned how to speak up for myself, and not allow others to, be very dismissive of my feelings and dismissive of my inputs. And again, for me, that's part of being able to live intentionally. I love that.
So before, if I didn't like something, I'd probably stay quiet, but now I am bringing in my own demands. Now I am not going to let it slide. If you do something to me and I feel that, hey, you may have crossed the line or you were unfair to me, I am now going to speak up and say, you know what? I'm not upset. And that's something too, intentionally living. don't want to be angry about stuff. I want to pick my battles, really.
For sure.
Pick your battles.
For sure.
There are bigger things. But I will say to you that I don't think you were being fair to me, and I do not like what you've just done. And I will tell you why, so that you can understand my perspective. Don't want to enter into shouting matches and these sorts of things. So you want to be able to assert yourself, assert your voice, and you wouldn't believe how therapeutic that is.
Yes, I would. You're talking to a sister that knows therapy. With that, we're going to take a quick break. Again, I know I keep telling you thank you, but thank you so very much for allowing us into your living room, into your home, or wherever you're watching. We are truly, truly grateful. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. I never leave home without my lip conditioner and lip scrub from T2T. It's perfect for this kind of weather and any activity. I'm Dr. Tongie from the Dr. Tongie Show and Dr. Tongie, and I endorse this product. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. All right, we are back. Thank you so very much yet again. I'm your friend, Tongie, and you're with the Dr. Tongie Show. And we are, oh my gosh, I get excited when I'm in front of great people. I do. I'm sweating. But I'm having an amazing time because this woman has really, Lissa is just, I love you, lady. I do. You're stuck with me, so yeah,
yes,
you got to.
We're stuck with each other.
451-9788 is the number to call in, and WhatsApp is 470-534-2216. And we're getting down to the meat and potatoes of how do you pick yourself up? How do you go through something as traumatic as cancer? I wouldn't dare tell you what all I've been through because you wouldn't believe me. But I'll give you a hint. After going through the cancer, and now you're thinking, okay, God can trust me with trouble now, and I've got all of these monikers, right? And then I get this thing about, I think I want to go and move to another city. Not because something was going on in our city, but I just wanted more. You don't go through something as traumatic, and Lissa said it best, no one gave it to us, right? You don't go through that without saying, okay, I've got to live now. And one of my things was in living, my quest was, how do I get closer to him? How do yes, I know you're daddy, and yes, I know you can do anything, but I want to be able to walk in the spirit more than this fleshly thing. And that was one of the things that, for me, moving from this city to that city was going to allow me that privilege of doing, or so I thought. But when you're moving into another dimension of your life now, and you've gone through something as traumatic, and you're standing believing God, okay, I can fly. I'm better now. Lissa, how did you prepare for the next dimension in your life? Because you've got a book in you, lady. You really do, and I'll publish it. I've got a publishing company.
Oh, thank you. Look at that. Thank you so much. Now we really stop.
So now you know who you are in the spirit. Yeah, or you're learning who you are. How do you prepare now for the next dimension? People say you're going into another level. I like to liken other levels is when you go to another level, you have the same mindset. When you go to a whole nother dimension, everything changes. What does that look like for you? For me, it was, I want to have a more spiritual walk. I don't want this flesh. For you, what did that look like?
Pretty much it's the same thing. For me, it's really about, I said it last week, just doing the right thing. There are no if, what, buts, I don't want to justify things that I know are morally not pleasing. I don't want to have to justify that. Well, everybody's doing it, so, no. You can't negotiate that way with God at all. But the idea of moving on, for a long time, survivors will not know how to do that. And I think that's why I went through part of that whole buying frenzy of getting new things, because you will feel stuck.
Yep.
You are stuck in that moment of your cancer diagnosis, the treatment, all what the pain you're going through, and so forth. And then there is the uncertainty of tomorrow. You do not, and we say that, well, tomorrow we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. But when you are dealing with something like cancer, you really do not know what tomorrow is bringing. You do not know at all. And so and I think, and that is still true, that dreaming for me does not happen as it should. I do not see enough of myself in the future. So when I talk about dreaming and saying, well, what am I going to do next year by, the next 2 years I want to be able to accomplish X, Y, Z. In the next 5 years I want this to be. That is not happening. That thought process for me isn't there. Because I do not know if I am going to get that far, you see. So even if I may have all of this spiritual and I believe in my Father and so forth, and for now, and again, look, I'm still saying for now, I'm standing, I really, do not see myself in that light. And so I think that, and I've had a few conversations with survivors, and they too are dealing with that. And so now I'm beginning to really understand the importance of telling yourself that you are worthy and accepting that you are still here as a cancer survivor because your journey, God has said your journey has not ended. And you have to embrace this chance that He's given you to fulfill new things. And you need to redefine what those things may be. And so it may not necessarily mean, being able to get a promotion, the things that we attach success to be. For sure. Yeah, because we all have a different idea of what success is. And so you may need to redefine that for yourself as to what exactly this new purpose is going to be. So you have to understand, and I am worthy, and you need to get up and push through. So finding that dream, finding whether it be you spoke about, opening up a business and so forth. You need to be able to get something, grab onto it, and be able to pull yourself up. For me, that was, of course, coming to work and being able to continue in my duties. And so just because you have hit this roadblock doesn't mean that this is where you must stay. You don't have to remain there. You have to be able to find that fortitude from somewhere and get it with people who support you and people who get it, to be able to continue your journey.
Okay.
So we have a call and we
do.
want to say thank you so much. Talk to us.
Please, your own air with Tongie and Lissa.
Hi, evening to you. Thank you for calling in. Hi, good evening. I think we're having a slight issue,
okay.
Junior.
Okay.
Good evening to you. Thank you so much.
We lost him. No?
Okay, so please
Okay.
try back again. We apologize
Absolutely.
for that.
Absolutely.
We seem to have had just a little bit of a technical difficulty in patching the call through.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you, so you can call back. Thank you so much. Good evening to you. And if you perhaps can turn down the volume of your device, whether it be your television, your tablet, mobile phone.
Hello?
Hi. Thank you so much for calling in. Talk to us.
Yes, I'm just interested in knowing about the warrior spirit. Lissa spoke about it, and I want to hear a bit more about what exactly it is and how it's helped her overcome her battle with cancer.
Absolutely. Thank you so very, very much for calling. And Lissa, this warrior spirit. I'm getting chill bumps here. Tell us about this warrior spirit.
I don't know. I seem to have had the warrior spirit from a child because, often I say to my mother, nothing must interfere with my sleep. And she must be, laughing her head off right now. But the warrior spirit is, again, just two things. You need to be able to understand the context of the different parts of yourself. So we have that spiritual side to us, and we need to be able, you need to strengthen that. That is where you will go to for absolute solace. That's an important word. This is where you'll go for that peace, that quiet, the ability to remain still, for you to be able to assess the situation before you, and to have that calm spirit for you to be able now to get up and do the physical, to do the things that will be necessary for you to get to the other side. And so being able to get up from the bed, I have to say to myself, I can't be here, because if I stay here, this would be the end of me, staying in bed. So you have to will yourself in order for you to get up. You have to will yourself in order for you to put on your clothes. Will yourself through the pain that you're feeling. And for me, I should tell myself, this pain is going to be temporary. I'm going through it. Yes, it's been a long time, but I know that it will pass. And by busying myself, keeping that routine, I know that I am beginning to get back to the individual I used to be, albeit a renewed individual. But at the center of that warrior is that spiritual groundedness. You need to have that spiritual groundedness. Now, that spiritual groundedness is not about getting up and saying 25 Hail Marys and, I'm Catholic and all of that. It is far beyond that. It is about that one-on-one connection. It is about being able to completely strip yourself and be so vulnerable. Be vulnerable with God and to God. You may cry uncontrollably and sob like a baby. But that is when you know you are having that breakthrough. In that moment, that warrior spirit is beginning to build. That you now know that you're going to live. You are going to live for a new day. So again, that I'm just speaking from my personal experience and what has worked for me.
Absolutely. I am, wow. I'm sitting here and I'm taking copious notes. You don't see me doing it, but you're absolutely right with the warrior spirit. I've heard the term, but not that eloquently spoken. And the part about being grounded. You have to be grounded. I'm like a kid when it comes to my daddy. I call him daddy because of the relationship I have with him. So I get that. I really, really do. And it does give you that fight to get up and face another day.
But it's not easy.
No,
Doc,
aye.
because and again, I just want to say quickly before we move on that when you are there in that fighting stance, warrior, you coming out to fight. When you're in that fighting stance, lots of things are going to come at you.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't think that everything is going to be smooth sailing. I mean, I had days when I would get to the hospital, treatment is supposed to start. Oh, sorry, there are no drugs, we can't do it anymore. What? And so you petrified because, oh my God, because you're depending on this for you to be able to cleanse yourself out and to survive. And so lots of things, maybe, as I did, got one diagnosis and then came back with another diagnosis, and it was, 10 times worse than the first diagnosis. But you have to expect that every time these negative things keep coming at you, you have to keep that fighting stance and say, no, you will not break me. No, I am not going to give in.
Yeah.
No, God, I know you have my back. Pushing through. That's all.
Wow. Hi. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. You cannot make that up. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so very much for being honest and open and sincere and blessing the people that are listening. And if you're going through something like that, I encourage you, have that warrior spirit. Absolutely. Have that grounding. And
we have a call, so let's say hi. Good evening.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for calling in. Talk to us.
Hello.
Hi. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Tongie. Good evening, Mama. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Who am I speaking with?
You know me.
Oh boy. I know the voice.
Yes, you do. And you have my mama girl next to you, too.
Oh. You know who we're talking to?
Yeah. Listen, I know her history with cancer, and I can tell you, okay?
Yes.
That was one strong, phenomenal woman.
Wow.
I never saw her cry until I saw her cry last week in that program.
Yes.
I never saw her cry. She would leave chemotherapy and go straight to work.
Oh, come on. So wow, you're telling me bits and pieces here.
Every time I spoke to her, she was more concerned about her partner, her mother, and her sister.
Jeez. Wow, baby.
That's what she was concerned about.
That's her.
To be that strong?
Yeah.
I wish I could be that strong, I can tell you that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so very much for that. What do you say with that?
I'm not even sure where to go with it, except to say that, it's not just all on your own. And for the caller, I don't know if she wants us to identify her.
Yeah.
But, you draw strength from those people around you as well, Doc.
Yes, you do.
And I spoke earlier about that. Surround yourself with individuals who are truly going to support you.
Right.
She has her own battles. And through the years of our friendship, I have seen her strength.
Wow.
And that, gave me the ability to say, hey, she's going through this.
For sure.
I can do this as well.
I love it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's part of the way that we support each other as women.
We need that. We really, really do need that.
We have another caller. We want to say thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Hello?
Hi, you're on air.
Okay. Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just want to give a little contribution on my wife's behalf.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she went through breast cancer, and when she got the news, it was like the most shocking part of my life. And then she gave me strength.
Wow. Thank you for that. How
she gave me strength, and I cried when I got the news. Like, we just got married, and a couple of months after, then get to know that she had breast cancer, and
How is she doing now?
Absolutely.
Then getting the shocking news, and it was really terrifying for me on my part. You know, when I was on my own, I cried for like 3 weeks straight. Then she came and she told me, baby, I am strong for myself, and I need you to be strong for me as well, and stop the crying. And then, yeah, then when she started chemotherapy, she would go to chemotherapy, and the next day, she would go to work. And she's just a strong and I admire her strength, and she's like over 5 years going as a survivor. And then
Yes.
I just want to just
Amen.
give all the strength.
Wow.
I want to give all the strength that's going through that same situation, that it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you
not the
so
end of the
much.
world.
Wow.
How I just want to ask you, how were you able to be a source of strength for her?
Beg your pardon?
How were you able to support her?
Okay, well, in supporting her, I get the strength from her.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
she
you
was-
know why that is?
Instead of me being her strength and supporter,
Yes.
it was the other way around.
But she was
And that's why I
drawing that
really
from
admire
you.
her.
She was.
She was drawing her
Absolutely.
strength from the love that she has for you
Yeah.
and the dream of your life together.
Wow.
That is, so that and both of you, you were fighting for both of
other.
your lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy that she's now 5 years
5
going on strong as a
years.
survivor. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely. And thank you, seriously, for calling and sharing
But
your story.
I know we did the time, but I just really want to ask as well, because there are so many other little things in there. How did you deal with the changes that your wife was going through? Because there are
Well-
changes to her physically. Yes. How did you deal with the emotional side as well?
Okay, so, hello?
Yes, we're listening.
You kind of breaking up. I can't really hear you clearly.
Oh, but I was asking about how did you cope with all of the changes that was happening with her physically?
Well, I just adjusted it. I just had to make it part of me, and then I had to just say, well, okay, this is what it is, and you can't be a loser. You have to be a fighter, and this is how I gain strength.
Wow. You've said a
Wonderful.
mouthful
You sound
there.
very
Yes.
young. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you and your wife as
Yes.
survivors.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so very much.
And
Okay.
thank you. But Doc, that's another part of the conversation. And as women, and for women who
Absolutely.
have partners.
Right.
Because, and I mentioned it earlier, yes, we are physically going through, but our partners as well
Going through
are
it as
going
well.
through.
You better
because
believe it.
they now have to adjust.
Absolutely.
And they have their own
Right.
fears as well.
Right.
And then, of course, how you, and again, I spoke about losing the hair and all
Yes.
of those things. So
Yes.
people, in the moment, they know that
Absolutely.
you're sick. But then there are other things that come into play as well.
Absolutely.
Sometimes emotional detachments occur, and the intimacy,
Yes.
physical intimacy, it becomes very difficult. There are so many dimensions to this.
It
So,
is.
at another time,
I know, right? I do.
we will talk about that. But I am curious to know about
Yes.
what's happening with us next week as we
I'm
wrap
so
up.
glad that you asked.
Yes.
We've got an amazing woman that will be joining us who, when I tell you, I heard her story about how she's literally changing the game in acting and plays, and she's doing it, and I am so excited to have her aboard with us, because she's young and we need to see that, right? That's what the story is about. This is what the show is about. It is you coming and being a part of something that we can celebrate you with, and that's the intent of the show. You have these shows that do all of that, but the intention is to celebrate, to highlight you. We've got people that have farms and that are doing things in the marketplace and with horses, and oh my gosh, they're amazing, and they're all St. Lucians. How about that? So that is what the show's about. Before we go, I want to say a personal thank you to Chef Adil Shawani. He is with Spice of India. We had lunch there today, and he has some amazing folk. Tamara, Anthony, and Nzinga. Told you I wasn't gonna miss that. Lisa, you made my life so much better. I am a better person because I've been able to meet you, and I am so grateful that you came and hung out with me 2 times. How about that?
Yes, and thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity
absolutely.
on your show to be able to share the story, but also to try to inspire and help others who are out there.
Absolutely.
So
that's what it was about.
We stuck.
You heard that, right? Thank you so very much. I love you. I do. Please give yourself an opportunity to live from the inside out. And don't forget to smile. It makes you feel better. It makes you look good. All right? Until next time, the Lord say the same and the creek don't rise. I'll see you next Thursday, same time, same station. And let's talk after the show. 470-534-2216. Okay? Bye.